Welcome to Pike County Update. I'm your host, Dr. James Riley. I'm an English professor at the University of Pikeville and coordinator of the English program. I also serve as Director of Communications for Pike County Government. My guest today is Doug Tackett, the Emergency Management Director for the Pike County Government. Doug has held this position for 20 years. He also serves as the 911 Coordinator and the GIS Coordinator, the Geographic Information System. We'll be asking you about that to find a little bit more about what that is. Doug was a volunteer fireman before his current position. He was owner-operator of the Shelby Valley Ambulance Service. He's had a lot of experience in public service and safety, and we're glad to have you with us this morning, Doug.
Good to be here.
We're going to start with a discussion of a relatively new system for Pike County, the Code Red service.
Okay.
I'd like to start with just a general question of what the Code Red service is and how it works.
Code Red is a mass notification system that we use to notify folks in the event of an emergency. We can pinpoint an area on a map of the county and just notify a particular area using that system. It just depends on where the emergency's at, whether or not it's a large area or small area or whatever. We can actually do pinpoint notifications.
So a particularly intense storm that's just in one small area?
Yeah, that or say a hazardous material spill somewhere that would have a vapor cloud or something. We could plot a plume on a map with the wind directions and things and notify the downwind area in an event like that. We've used it for missing persons before, notify a residential area of a missing person that we're looking for. Mountain Water District uses it for boil water notifications. The City of Pikeville uses it for some of the same things that we do. So we've got several partners in that, and the University of Pikeville's one.
Right. This service is provided for anyone that's interested in signing up for it.
Yes.
How are the notifications released?
The notifications are released through a web interface. Code Red is a web-based system, and we can pull the program up from anywhere we have web access, and we do have web access in the field a lot of times. So we can do it from our trucks, we can do it from a portable device like a tablet, iPad, or we can do it from the office.
Right. How are the messages received by those that are signed up for the service?
Messages are received by phone calls, text messages, emails, and through modern technology like that.
Just any service that they...
Yes.
If a person that's interested in this service, how would they go about signing up to participate?
They can go to the Pike County Government website at pikecountyky.gov and go to the links button and click on it, and it will bring up a set of links, and there's a link there for Code Red. Just click on it and it'll bring you to the community enrollment page.
Okay.
And it just takes about 5 minutes to fill out the questionnaire and submit it.
Okay. Do they have other options for signing up besides getting online?
Yes, if they can't get online, they can call our office, and the number to call is 606-432-0210. And one of the staff will take care of them.
Okay. Is there any charge whatsoever for the service?
No, there's no charge for the service. And when you go online or call the office to sign up, it makes sure that we get the right information in the database, plus signing up that way gets you the weather alert notifications. And you'll get weather alert notifications for 3 different types of storms. One's a tornado warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, and a flash flood warning.
Okay.
And if you elect to go online and set it up yourself, you can create a managed account, so if you need to change any of that, you can log back in later and make changes as you need to.
Right. Which also means, I assume, that if you needed to shut that service off, it's just as easily to shut down for a while if you prefer?
If you need to, yes.
Right. Okay. How exactly do the weather warnings work?
The weather warnings, when the National Weather Service out of Jackson issues a warning for our area, you notice sometimes when you watch TV, you see the warning box on the map. If you're within that warning box, based on your address, you will get that warning for that storm.
So the warning actually comes out of the Weather Service from Jackson and through your department?
Through our department and out to the public.
Okay, so you're not issuing the warnings yourself?
No, we're not.
Relaying from what the weather... Okay, in terms of response to this, What kind of response have you had so far to the program?
We've had a pretty good response. We've had probably nearly 2,100 people sign up for it across the county, but we'd like to see more.
Right.
Because we do have a database in there from commercial sources for telephone numbers and things to do the mass notifications, but once you sign in, it creates or corrects any deficiencies we may have in our records from the commercial databases.
But you wouldn't hear from the service at all unless there were an emergency in play, right?
That's
so it's not something that's going to show up on your email every other day or anything like that.
Only if there's an emergency issued.
Okay. Is there easy access to the service once you become a participant?
Yes, there is. Basically, you don't have to do anything except receive the alerts when they come. There is a mobile app if you have a smartphone that you can sign up for, or go online and find the mobile app. It's Code Red app.
Okay.
And it will get you the weather warnings. There is a small charge. It's like $5 a year to get the weather warnings through the mobile app, though. But the thing about it, the mobile app, is there's about 70-some counties in Kentucky that use Code Red. If you're in any of those counties and they issue or get a weather warning issued, you'll get it as well, because your phone usually uses a geographic information, GPS information, if you would, to track your location. And if you're traveling, I know there's places in Florida and other southern states that use Code Red. If you're traveling through a Code Red county anywhere in the nation that sets out a warning, you'll get it with that mobile app.
Are they fairly prevalent? Are they all around? Or
yes, they're fairly prevalent.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
So it's not something that's just going to be useful here locally. If you travel, you might.
You could use it pretty much nationwide.
Okay. All right. People should sign up for the Code Red service. It's provided by the county. And if you're interested in that service, now's the time. It's been in, how long has it been activated?
It's been a little over a year. About a year and 6 months.
Okay. We'll move the discussion to emergency management now, just for a sort of general discussion of how things have been going. Okay. You've held that position for 20 years.
Yes.
You've had a lot of experience with disasters in this area.
Yes, we have.
Just sort of for background information, how many federally declared disasters has there been since you became the Director of Emergency Management?
I think we're at about 17 now because of the 3 we just got for February, March, and April.
So we had 3 federally declared disasters in March and April?
Yes, in February.
How were those defined?
They were defined through the snowstorm and flooding and severe thunderstorms and mudslides.
So these are actually considered separate events by the federal government?
3 separate events by FEMA, yes.
Is there a time limit that they have to be so close together, or how is that determined?
Well, that's determined basically by the storm systems that create the events, and they rely on National Weather Service to help them make those determinations. If it's separate storm systems that create events, it would be separate disasters. If it's one storm system that creates events, it's one disaster.
So we had actually 3 separate storm systems move through.
Yes, we did.
The snow, the rain that followed it.
And then rain again, with excessive rain.
Do they consider excessively cold temperatures part of that, or is that factored into it at all?
Yes, it's factored into it because of the damage created by the cold temperatures, by broken water lines and water mains and damage to infrastructure.
Right.
That's part of it, but the snowfall amounts was another part of it. We had near record snowfall at times.
Right.
And if we were within, I think FEMA determines, like if you're within 10% of a record snowfall for your area, that's considered.
Oh, okay. Well, we were definitely in that range.
Yes, we were.
When you realize there is an event on the horizon, how do you prepare for that? Let's take the most recent storm. With all the snow coming, we could see it on the radar. You knew it was headed our direction. What type of steps does your department take in advance to prepare for these situations?
Well, storms like that, the Weather Service usually has about a 48-hour window to issue warnings and watches and things in. And they start with a watch, and they notify us as to what they think is going to be coming down the pike. So we'll take that information and we'll share it with our stakeholders around the county, like our first responders, our fire departments, police agencies, the local cities, Pikeville, Coal Run, and Elkhorn City, and let them know what's coming. We also let the power company know, the hospitals, anybody that's going to be involved in any type of response. We have a system set up where we can send them notifications as to what's coming down the way so they can take steps to be prepared as well.
Okay.
And basically it's trying to get all those stakeholders on the same page and letting them know what to expect.
Right. Is other than just notification, is there a protocol your department follows for each
Well,
given event, or are they all different?
They're all a little bit different. No two are the same. And basically, based on the information we get from the National Weather Service and what we watch ourselves on our radar, we'll either go into a monitoring mode and try to staff a few extra hours in the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, to keep an eye on what the weather's doing and see if there are any changes that come around. We notify our road departments, our solid waste,
Right.
senior citizens. If we expect sub-zero temperatures for extended period of time, we'll look at our senior citizen centers to have them ready to open as warming centers.
Mm-hmm.
We do that in the summertime for excessive heat for cooling centers.
Right.
And we let all of our first responders know what's coming so they can prepare their equipment, their trucks, if they decide they need tire chains or whatever, they can get them ready to go.
Right.
Steps taken ahead of time so that the response goes a little more smoother.
Okay. I'm assuming every event then also brings surprises with it.
Oh yes, they all do.
How do you communicate the change in expectations? I mean, you've had this code red system now, but it's still early on and it's not functioning, so enough people really, I think, get the message.
Well,
how do you communicate with the people of the county?
With the people of the county, we use media. We work with East Kentucky Broadcasting and Pike TV and other media outlets to let them know what changes we've seen and what to expect. So hopefully they can let the people in the county know.
Well, this most recent event seemed to me like it was a pretty serious one. I'm assuming it's not the most serious storm you've seen in your tenure as this. Which was the worst storm that you actually oversaw?
The worst one we've overseen in all these years, and don't get me wrong, there's storms that produced quite a bit of damage. And one in particular was in '03, the flood on the Tug River. It was widespread. It wasn't localized to a small area.
Right.
But based on the amount of damage and the size of the area, the 2010 storm was by far the worst because you had localized areas like Raccoon and Harles's Creek. And those small areas resulted in over $10 million in damage to homes and business and infrastructure.
All right, let's move to that area. Once a storm has hit and it clears out and there's all this damage and FEMA immediately appears on the scene and you have to deal with the federal government.
Well,
how does that process work? I'm assuming it takes a number of years to recover financially from the damage of something like that.
Yes, and recovery is in some ways is still going on in those areas, but FEMA doesn't just appear. We have to go out and do an initial damage assessment. Basically, we call that a windshield assessment.
Right.
We drive those affected areas and looking to see what type of damages are out there and how widespread the damages may be.
Right.
And then once we get those areas identified, we come back and do a more detailed damage assessment, like door to door on homes.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we do is we open a call center in the Emergency Operations Center and have ask people through radio and TV to call and report their damages so that we hopefully won't miss anybody.
Right.
And we take all that and plot it on a map as well with our GIS system so that we can see on a map where the damage areas are and make sure we cover those. Once we get that done, we submit our numbers to Frankfurt on damage, and they contact the federal government if they think they meet the threshold. For Kentucky, it's $6.2 million.
So FEMA's not involved unless $6 million of damage is done.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't seem like a lot of damage from a storm, though.
Well, when you look at it locally, we met the state's threshold ourselves in the 2010 storm.
Oh, just Pike County?
Yes, just Pike County alone met the state's threshold of over $6.2 million.
That's the state requirement. So
yes.
$6 million statewide is what's required.
The county's requirement is to meet the threshold of about $238,000.
So we met that threshold 3 times in March and April this year, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Once we get those numbers to Frankfurt and they do an assessment, look at the damage, the governor will decide if he's going to ask for a federal declaration from FEMA. And usually that takes a little bit of time. There's a lot of steps to go through to do that. But in 2010, they were just closing out another disaster in Kentucky, and FEMA was still in Frankfort, still had offices set up as a joint field office. And we were able to get that declaration in 5 days, when normally it takes probably 30.
What's the effect of having it declared a national disaster?
Well, you get federal and state resources that can come in to assist with recovery. FEMA will come in, Small Business Administration will come in, and they'll set up a call center where the folks that had individual damage to homes and things can call and apply for assistance. And there's assistance for public infrastructure as well, roads, bridges, water lines, things of that nature.
Right.
And once you get that declaration, FEMA, for public damages on our roads and bridges and infrastructure, will pay 75% of the repair cost. The state will pay 12%, and the county is responsible for 13%.
So we have to match a certain percentage of the damage done.
Yes, we do.
What was the damage from the most recent storm?
I think overall Kentucky had met the 6.2 with about $9 million from the snowstorm itself.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly what the numbers were on the county just yet.
Right.
But we got FEMA assistance coming to fix our roads and infrastructure that was damaged.
Okay. I know your department does a lot of community service events.
Yes,
I know
we do.
They work to help train the public and prepare the public for events that might occur, floods and things like that. How's your department relate to the public in terms of assistance and education?
Well, we, like I say, we try to do a lot of PSAs. We put a lot of things on Facebook. We have a Facebook page for Pike County Emergency Management, and we put public service announcements and information out on that. We do things like the radio show on East Kentucky Broadcasting and talk about things we have going on.
Right.
We've got a fire safety trailer that we take around to the schools to help educate children on fire safety, how to use fire extinguishers, and how to, if they're caught with a fire in their house, how to check the door if it's hot and decide whether to find an alternate exit out of a house, how to stop smoke from coming in the room around the door.
Right.
And we teach kids how to use fire extinguishers as well.
So your fire safety trailer goes to schools and,
Yes.
and you have sessions there for the students.
And it's not just for Pike County, it's for surrounding counties. We got it with a fire safety grant that was like $229,000. It's a state-of-the-art prod.
I've been in the trailer. It's nice.
It's it's got a number of smoke machines in it that generate smoke for different scenarios. It's got a kitchen scenario set up in it where you can show people how to deal with a stove fire, an oven fire,
Right.
a toaster fire. It also does weather simulations for storm events. So it's multifaceted. It does a number of things.
Okay. I know you also have a number of mass casualty trailers.
Yes,
why don't you explain that to the audience?
We several years ago we did a Homeland Security grant for a mass casualty trailer,
Right.
and we had based it on a school bus accident that happened in part of the county that had a number of kids injured at one time, and we wanted to try to provide something that would be useful in that type of situation because there's a lot of school buses that run this county, and they put a lot of miles on those in the course of a week itself. And we've got one of those mass casualty trailers stationed over in the Belfry area, and I've got two of them over here, and I hope to put one somewhere in the center of the county.
Right.
But they're set up to provide service for 50 patients in an event. So all in all, the three would handle 150 patients.
Can you describe the trailer? How it's
Basically,
organized? What's in it?
It's organized with various types of medical supplies for airway and bleeding and things of that nature, control and triage, or how to do patient assessment. It's got supplies for that.
Right.
It's got a number of backboards, and it's got the supplies that set up the mass casualty patient treatment system, whereas you have zones for people that can wait on being transported that's not real critical.
Right.
And then 2 areas for people that need to go a little faster. And then you've got one for fatalities if necessary. So based on where you place those patients after their triage determines how fast their transportation takes them to the closest facility.
Who mans these trailers?
EMS and fire, people that are trained in as EMTs and first response
So-
medicine.
In the event of a response being necessary, you have people in place that will be coming from the hospital, from the ambulance
EMS and-
services,
yes.
different people like that,
And fire departments as well.
and the fire departments.
And we've exercised these a couple of times with full-scale exercises.
Right. And I understand you have exercise coming up in the near future.
Yes,
then
we
as
do.
well.
At the Healthy Fun Fair at the National College of Business in July. We'll
Right.
be doing a not mass fatality, but mass casualty exercise there with the school and some other first response agencies.
Right. What exactly is involved with the mock disaster? Can you describe what the event will be like?
Well, I think it's going to be a school bus incident with a number of patients injured on a school bus.
Mm-hmm.
So the first responders will come in, the EMS folks, and see that they've got a mass casualty incident, and they can get the trailer set up.
So does the trailer come in during the event, or will it be set up in advance?
Well,
or-
it'll probably, for this case, it'll probably be in time constraints, be set up in advance.
Right.
But you'll be able to see how it's set up, and the first responders will be able to get a good hand at operating the system and bringing out the patients, doing triage, and placing them in the proper place for transport.
Right. Okay. I will ask you about a couple more events. You mentioned a tabletop exercise
Yeah.
and a functional exercise. I was wondering what's involved there. And
Well, we do a number of exercises every year. We're supposed to do about 4 a year. And for this year, one of those would be a tabletop, sort of a functional exercise. Tabletop is a not very stressful exercise. You have no time constraints on the participants. You give them a scenario and they discuss how they would respond to it. We're going to do a functional exercise, which puts time constraints on what they can do and discuss.
right.
It's an enhanced tabletop, if you will. We'll still have the scenario and events that unfold, and they'll have to deal with those, but they'll have to do it in a more timely manner. They won't have a great deal of time to work out their answers.
Right. So this is a mock event, but
Yes.
not physically.
Right, not physically.
Right. Okay. Well, Doug, we appreciate you taking time to spend with
Hey,
us.
no problem. Anytime, glad to do it.
Remember the Code Red alert. If you're interested in that service, be sure to get online and sign up for it, or you can call Doug's office.
Yes.
This has been Pike County Update. I'm Dr. James Riley, and we appreciate you joining us.
Okay.